Hello there, and welcome to my Disney 3.0 Death Star Rescue Challenge, of course based upon Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. My name's Rich, happy to share my adventure with you. I hope you like it. So we'll get started here. Basic objective is to locate Princess Leia in the detention level and bring her safely back to the hangar here, deliver her to the townsperson portal there without dying. If the princess is killed anywhere along the line, the challenge has failed. In that case, your player is also immediately transported to a cell in the detention level where you get to ponder the depth of your failure. And if you're playing two-player, which this game is actually designed for, you'll get to ponder your failure together in the prison cell. Just a little bit of fun. Ideally, of course, we'd be starting out inside the Millennium Falcon, but wasn't quite clever enough to figure out how to do that, so I tend to run around the back side of it, and we'll wait for our two unsuspecting stormtroopers assigned to come investigate, to come around where we can ambush them and then theoretically take their uniforms and be in disguise to safely make our way through the Death Star. Obi-Wan shows up. He'll tell us he has an important mission for us. And the floor lift rises. You notice that Luke is blue team. That's for multiplayer, as well as the Imperials are initially set to blue team because we're in Stormtrooper disguise if we follow along the movie. So we're all one big happy family. So we'll take the lift up here to the next level where the control room is. Just going to take a quick look around, showing the design and layout of the hangar. Up there on the upper left, that's the control room overlooking the hangar. I'm actually going to bypass that for right now just to show as you go around the corner here. There's the elevator doors to take you to the detention level, but the player can't advance. This trigger area that opens these doors is right now deactivated. So the player can't go any further without first completing the tasks inside the control room, which we're going to next. So when we enter the control room, we'll get a couple Imperial officers that we need to take out. Luke handles this quite nicely. Of course, I'm playing on easy difficulty level, just for speed up the game a little bit. The droids appear. C-3PO, the typical overreactor. Oh my. If there was Prozac for droids, 3PO would be on it. So we're going to hack the terminal here, playing like we're trying to determine where Princess Leia is being held. We're going to get our little data card here. We'll collect that as if that's giving us her location. But what that really did is activate the trigger area to now use the elevator. Just an overlook of the hangar there, and notice that those Imperials have been removed from memory. And we have a new batch of Imperials, also blue team, because we're still in Stormtrooper uniforms, theoretically. So we're all blue team so that they don't attack us. Now we can enter the elevator, push the button, and up we go. Another button here that will take you down if you so choose. So we enter the main control area. There'll be two waves of Imperial officers that we need to defeat. First wave of 4, and then 3 officers in each of the 3 cell block corridors.
Look out.
So you see I've used, for the design of this, I've used the fantasy trains for these particular pentagonal shaped doorways. Not exactly accurate to the movie other than giving the correct shape, but I like them because of the lighting effects, as well as when you start fighting the stormtroopers down the cell block level where the princess is. It gives you a little bit of a barrier to hide behind if you choose to stay and fight the stormtroopers. Now what we're doing here is I'm going to go down this corridor just to show off where the prison cell is that the player will be transported to in the event the level has failed. You see that it's deactivated right now, so if the player is transported there, it'll start a 30-second timer that will then activate the trigger area, allowing the player to leave. Also, if you die, you'll go there for a 30-second penalty. much like a hockey player going into the penalty box. But the challenge is only failed if the princess dies. So now we're going to shoot out the security cameras in each of the corners of the control room, as well as the comm panel that Han Solo shot out when the Imperial officers were questioning his identity. So I don't know if this is accurate, but I picked the left-hand corridor to put the princess's cell, and just showing here that if the player doesn't know where the princess is, you'd be checking the doors. I also have a 30-second timer for when the stormtroopers first appear. You can increase that. I keep it at 30 seconds because I, of course, know where to find the princess. And there she is. Now the stormtroopers start appearing and attacking us. Now I have this set to a counter of 20. We first start out with 6 stormtroopers, and using logic very similar to 72 Pringle's level for his Mandalorian challenge, whereby generating new enemies every time one is killed helps save on memory usage. It's a very efficient and economical use of memory, so you don't blow your memory during the game, because these larger toy boxes tend to run very much up in the red. So it's a very cool technique. I set a counter of 20. You can set the counter to whatever you want, 25, 50, even have no counter at all, in which case the enemies would never stop respawning, and at some point the player would just have to give up and jump down into the trash compactor. But I thought 20 was an appropriate number to stop at. And as I'm going to demonstrate here, I'll take out a number of them, but I don't actually complete the wave all the way to a counter of 20, because I also set up a trigger area. Once you jump down into the trash compactor, these enemies will be removed, and that's again to save on the memory as you go on advancing the game and face more enemy waves. Memory's at a premium. So I think I got 16 in the account. So we have a little doorway here that'll slide down, and then we shoot out the concrete wall. I put the little doorway to slide down because I didn't really like the appearance of the concrete wall, so I came up with the idea to have a little hatch there that'll slide out of the way based on the trigger area. So now when we jump down here, that defeated the remaining stormtroopers in that wave there in the detention level. So we come through the trash compactor. Timing here is very critical. If you don't time it just right, you will get crushed. The princess will die and you'll fail the mission. And you'll find yourself in the detention level. 3 red lights, and you see there's still a little bit of delay to get that door open. So next we'll come into an area, I call it the control room. I have upper and lower platforms with stormtroopers on each, so you can see they fire across, they fire down. Particularly if you're playing an extreme level, this is where 2-player really comes in handy, where one player can focus on the lower platform and the other player can focus on the upper platform. Particularly difficult to protect the princess in this room if you're single player with fire coming from so many different angles. She'll often die here in this room. That's why I left her outside of the room. So a little bit of cheating, but demonstrating the effect. Also, the exit there on the far side, that trigger area is also deactivated right now, not allowing the player to advance until we hack these 2 terminals. So we have to defeat this wave of enemies based on a counter of 10. So now that we're at 10, you'll notice that that terminal is now active, as well as the terminal on the lower platform. So I'm just finishing up the last of them here. And we jump down here just to show you, we still can't get out of that door because we haven't finished everything we need to finish in this room. So I thought adding this was, even though it's not accurate to the movie, add a little extra something for the player to do beyond just fighting enemy waves. Made it a little more interesting. At least I thought it did. Little wrinkle to the game. We also have this climbing pole to get up in case the player falls down into the bottom of the area. Also fun to jump across and climb up. So when we hack the second terminal here, we'll reactivate the trigger area. That'll allow us to go through the exit doors. Last thing I'm going to show you here is through gameplay, kind of learned that if you fall down here with the princess, the climbing pole, you can't get back up. there was no way to get her back up and complete the game. So I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want that to be a failed mission. So I created this lift, and that's what I'm demonstrating in case you do bring her in here and during the fighting sequence she falls in, you fall down to the bottom. You have a way to get back up with her, and at least you can continue the game. Alright, this next section is our race back to the hangar. Now, if you remember in the movie, there's a scene where Han and Chewie went on chasing some stormtroopers, and then they ran into a corridor that was full of stormtroopers. It looked to me like at least a company's worth of stormtroopers, and they decide that they better start running the other way with the stormtroopers chasing. So we have a wave. I used 15 Imperials here, 15 or 16. And it's not important to defeat them all. I'm going to defeat most of them, but I'm going to leave a few behind. So once again, just like in the prison cell block, you don't have to defeat all the stormtroopers. It's kind of up to the player. If you want to stand and fight them all, defeat them all, fight some of them, or fight none of them and just grab the princess and dodge and jump and avoid them and run away towards the hangar. So it's really up to the player how you want to play. There is a trigger area here. Once you enter that wave is defeated if you elected just to run. Once again, that helps with the efficiency of the memory as we get to the final phase of the challenge and the final fight inside the hangar. Just showing a couple of different options here. This little area over here, at least in my design, would be the area where Luke would have seen Vader and Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan sacrificed himself. So we go through and we hit a trigger area, and now we have a little cinematic, a little cutscene that I developed of Vader's and Obi-Wan's final moment together. And of course, Obi-Wan's one with the cosmic force, and he tells Luke, "Run, Luke, run." Of course, run away was the best I could do. Notice the townsperson portal's not active yet, not until we finish the final battle. So find a good hiding place for her. And you notice that she stands still. That's because I set on the friendly wave generator that generates Princess Leia, set the properties for her to stand still. Otherwise, she has a bad habit of running right into the middle of the fighting and gets killed and the challenge is over. So help the player out a little bit by at least making her stationary. And I hit her pretty good, but I can tell you multiple times I've played the level. Sometimes the stormtroopers, when I'm busy fighting them, one of them or a couple of them will find her back there, and I'm not paying attention, and they'll take her out, and I find myself in the detention block. To ponder my failure, of course. So this works on the same logic, generating, I believe, 6 Imperials at a time. Each time one dies, a new one generates in its place until we get to a count of 20. When the counter reaches 20, the logic gates that generate the Imperials, those logic gates are closed, which means that they will create one more round of Imperials. But once you get to the target count of 20, the townsperson portal will turn green, will be active. So you can either finish off the remaining enemies, or you can go ahead and grab Princess Leia, pronunciation problems. Toss her into the portal there, and you will have won the challenge. I think in this case I end up just playing through and taking them all out. Not too hard on easy, but like I said, once you get the harder extreme single player, this does become quite challenging. A lot of fun. I often die. I've found myself where I died and get my 30-second penalty in the prison cell, and only to find myself re-entering it because the stormtroopers end up defeating Princess Leia, and I lose the level. Another reason why it's good to play 2 players. And it works quite well with 2 players. That's really what I had in mind, was that you would play with 2 players when you did this. And you see we've already achieved our count of 20. The townsperson portal is active. I'm seeing one more red dot on my radar there, so that's what I was looking for. I figured just go take him out as well. And here he is behind the blast door. And he was hiding back there. sorted nicely, dispatched. So now we can go grab the princess and put her in the town portal, and we have won the challenge. Yeah, victory. I also have the music turned off for this video, but normally the normal music that plays, of course, is the Death Star themed Imperial Trooper music. And when you achieve victory, the music through the boombox will change to the Star Wars Episode 4, the New Hope end credits. Kind of a brighter fanfare, victorious song to play. So a couple things we have to do before we do the next challenge is send the lift to the floor lift back down to the bottom to bring those troopers up when we restart, as well as send bring the lift going to the upper level back down. So go into Spark mode here. This big room over here is where the cutscene takes place for generating the Vader boss fight with Obi-Wan. And you see it takes such a big area for the boss fight generator, so that's why I had to make a separate room, because my original design wasn't big enough. Up here's all the logic that controls everything that happens in the hangar. This logic gate here with the blue arrow, that's basically my on switch. Everything that needs to happen at the start of the challenge goes through that logic gate. And this is my off or reset logic gate. Everything that needs to be turned off or reset, such as enemy generators, friendly generators, counters, timers, collectibles, the terminals that we hack, all those need to be reset to replay the challenge. So that all goes through that logic gate. This is the logic for the initial enemy and Obi-Wan Kenobi and his speech. This next is for the control room for the Imperial officers, R2-D2 and C-3PO and the text box. This is the logic for our little cutscene with Vader and Obi-Wan, and this is for the final fight. Simple logic here. So the logic gate inputs a signal into each of the enemy generators to generate an enemy. When the enemy is defeated, it inputs back to the logic gate, which then outputs back to the enemy generator to spawn a new enemy. Once the target of 20 is reached, these logic gates are closed, and one more round of enemies is created, and then it stops. This is the logic for all the sequences inside the detention level. Very similar logic, or the exact same logic used there for spawning the stormtroopers before you jump down into the trash compactor. That was Leia's friendly generator right there. Property set to stand still. That's the smoke effects for the room when we shoot the targets, shooting out the security cameras in the communication radio. This is the logic that controls the penalty box area if your character dies or you fail the challenge. And these enemy generators works on the same exact logic. This is for the control room. The stormtroopers on the lower and upper platforms, set to a counter of 10. You can make that any number you like, though. This is the enemy generator for the hallway, exiting the control room, going back towards the hangar, as well as the counter that controls the terminals that we hack to activate the trigger area that will let us exit that room into the next corridor. This is the path that the Millennium Falcon. I got a little crazy with my joystick control there. Sorry about that. Didn't make anyone seasick, but that's the path that the Millennium Falcon follows to land inside the hangar here when the challenge begins. And down here is the vehicle generator that spawns the Millennium Falcon. Millennium Falcon is spawned and joins that path before joining the path outside to come into the hangar. And when the challenge is ended, completed, or failed, the Millennium Falcon is removed so it can be respawned for the next time. So I hope you've enjoyed my little adventure here, my Death Star rescue adventure based upon A New Hope. I have a lot of fun playing it, particularly two-player. I guess I'm going to show you one more thing and how this elevator works. All my doors and lifts, elevators, they all work on very simple trigger area logic based on reversing the direction. So when you enter the trigger area, it just reverses the direction. Well, it's been fun to share this with you. Thanks for joining me. Be safe and be well.